Hey everybody, let's talk about the episode in Game of Thrones Season 6 that we have all been waiting for, Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards. The episode starts off in Meereen. We see Daenerys and Tyrion clashing a bit over what to do about the Masters. Tyrion gets Daenerys to dial it back a little bit. She wants originally to just burn them all, like her father. It sounds very familiar, right? Yeah. And Tyrion recognizes this and points it out to her without actually calling her mad. And she decides to compromise, and it's pretty amusing, the compromise, because, I mean, she still gets rid of the Masters and gets everything she wants. The entire battle was just so incredible. She arranges a meeting with the Masters, and they think that she is about to surrender, and they start making all of these demands. And then she tells them, no, we're here to negotiate your surrender. And then Drogon shows up. She gets on Drogon. They take off. And then Viserion and Rhaegal just burst out of the pyramid. And they start burning shit. It's great. It's great. Of course they don't burn all the ships. They actually take charge of these ships because they need them to get to Westeros. Now, the next thing we see Grey Worm, Missandei, and Tyrion all still standing there with the Masters, and they give the Masters a choice. They can all just die, or one of them can die. Two of the Masters go and nudge one of the other ones forward and tell them that he is lowborn and that they can kill him. They really thought they were going to get away with this, but Grey Worm kills those two Masters, and Tyrion tells the remaining one to go and spread the word of their new ruler. And yeah, that is the only way he is allowed to live. And he looks about ready to shit his pants. He is freaking out because these dragons are all over the place. And oh, let's not forget to mention Daario showing up with the Second Sons and Dothraki to kill all of the Harpies and the Masters' followers. It is just so amazing to watch. Yeah, it was total fan service, and I enjoyed every moment of it. It was great. So basically, with her three dragons, the Unsullied, the Dothraki Horde, and Second Sons, Daenerys is going to bring Westeros to its knees, if it's not destroyed by the Night King before she arrives. She really needs to take care of that. I think she really needs to take care of that before she tries to conquer Westeros. Yeah, that's a thing. Finally, as if Daenerys and her army winning this entire battle wasn't enough, we see Yara and Theon arrive and meet with Daenerys and Tyrion, and it is just so perfect. It is so perfect. We see a little back and forth between Tyrion and Theon. Tyrion was clearly expecting the old Theon, and he looked a bit disappointed when Theon wasn't back-talking him. It was very interesting to see the new Theon interacting with Tyrion after they have both been through so much. It's so great. Yara and Daenerys seem to be just best friends now, new best friends. They're just all about girl power. It is great. And Daenerys, after being told by Yara and Theon about their Uncle Euron and how he wants to marry Daenerys and take over and stuff, she's just like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. And she forms an alliance with Yara and Theon and agrees to help put Yara back in charge of the Iron Islands. And they now have 100 more ships from Yara and Theon to add to their armada. They have taken the Masters' ships, so I don't know if they said exactly how many ships the Masters had brought with them, but it must have been a significant amount, because apparently it's enough to bring them across to Westeros now. This is exciting. We are finally going to see Daenerys head to Westeros. Of course, it's probably not going to happen until next season, but we will just have to survive the wait. Alright, so of course I saved the best for last. Let's talk about what happened outside of Winterfell and in Winterfell in this episode. It was... I can't find the right word for it, but it was just everything I could have hoped for, and a lot of what I expected. I mean, it was great, but heartbreaking at certain moments. It was everything you would expect out of a great Game of Thrones episode, and this battle was incredible. We see Jon and Ramsay meet for the first time face to face. Jon challenges Ramsay to a duel, and of course Ramsay refuses because he knows Jon is a great swordsman. And yeah, so now there is going to be this huge battle, and of course the odds are stacked against Jon and his army. It's looking pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad, and the battle goes insane for the most part. The way it starts off absolutely breaks my heart. But before I talk about how the battle starts off, I wish Jon would have listened to Sansa, because she tells him that Ramsay likes to play games and that he doesn't fight fair. She also tells Jon that it's pretty much assured that Rickon is going to die. I think we all knew that Rickon was going to die. He was the last living legitimate son of Ned and Catelyn Stark, and I mean, that's what they all believe. I mean, most people don't even know that Bran is still alive, but Bran now being the three-eyed raven, that's just not gonna work. So I just wish Jon would have listened to Sansa, but I know that still would not have spared Rickon. I honestly thought that Rickon was going to be flayed, but I'm not surprised with what Ramsay decided to do. It was very heartbreaking to watch though, because as both armies are about to start battle, Ramsay shows up tugging something along, and I'm like, oh, he's tugging along Rickon's dead body. He's just gonna throw it in Jon's face. But no. Rickon's still alive at this point, and Ramsay sets him free. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna do that. Of course he's gonna do that, because it's gonna make Jon go crazy. And it does. He tells Rickon to run. He starts shooting arrows at him. Jon gets on his horse and charges and tries to get to Rickon in time. Just as he is about to get to Rickon, Ramsay shoots him dead. And, yeah. Yeah, that sucks. That really sucked. Jon then lost his temper, pulled out Longclaw, and charged. And I was freaking out at this point because, yeah, his army is charging behind him to help him out, but I honestly believed he was gonna get trampled for just a split second. Right when he was about to get trampled by Ramsay's army, Jon's army shows up right behind him. So he's just scrambling, trying not to get run over and shit, while all the armies are going at each other on horses. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Things just go completely insane at this point, and I just can't believe how this battle went down. 1-1's just swinging here and there, and there were many times that I thought 1-1 was just gonna drop dead, because he gets shot by lots of arrows. Yeah, it's bad. As the battle went on and on, I got increasingly worried for Jon, and especially Tormund. I thought Tormund was gonna die many times over. I was freaking out. I love Tormund. He is so great. And at one point, Jon gets buried alive under a ton of bodies. It was a very believable battle because, I mean, when people are battling in wars and stuff, people don't have time to just move the bodies aside, so they're of course piling up, and Jon gets buried under a ton of them at one point. But he then pulls himself out to realize that his army has been trapped, huddled together, and a shield wall is surrounding them. It's not good. They're getting speared, and just the army is decreasing by the second. And we then hear a horn and see Sansa and Littlefinger arriving with the Knights of the Vale. It is so wonderful. Of course, it's gonna have a downside. We know that, I mean, making a deal with Littlefinger is like making a deal with the devil. Littlefinger is evil and conniving, and it may serve you for the time being, but later on down the road, you will have regrets. Everyone has regrets dealing with Littlefinger. But yeah, the Knights of the Vale come to the rescue and defeat Ramsay's army. There was one moment during the entire battle that just, it was great. It was just everything you would expect from Tormund. He goes legit Rick Grimes on Lord Umber. He rips his throat out with his teeth, and it is just so great. He goes up against Lord Umber after Lord Umber went up against Jon Snow, and at one point during this entire battle, I thought Lord Umber was going to kill Tormund, and I was going to be hella pissed. But Tormund wins this battle. It is just so great. After the big battle, and once Ramsay realizes that he has lost, he flees back to Winterfell with Jon, Tormund, and One-One on his tail. And One-One breaks through the gates of Winterfell and is sadly killed. I was really mad. I was very upset. It was a very upsetting scene. It was very upsetting. Ramsay, of course, was the one to kill One-One. He shot him through the eye, and he dropped dead. One other thing I hate about Ramsay. It's another thing. Jon lost it. I mean, he completely lost it on Ramsay at this moment. Ramsay then tells Jon that he agrees to his duel, and he starts shooting arrows at Jon. And Jon, of course, starts catching all the arrows on his shield and proceeds to nearly bludgeon Ramsay to death. He stops, though, when Sansa shows up and remembers that this is not his kill. This is his sister's kill, and she needs to do this herself. He, of course, steps back and allows Sansa to take her vengeance, and then things calm down for a second, and we don't know what's going on. We see the Stark flag being hung back up. Everybody's kind of just walking around, and I'm like, what? What happened to Ramsay? And then we flash over to the dungeons / kennels, and we see Ramsay tied to a chair. Sansa is staring at him through the gate, and I'm at this point so happy because this was one of my top picks for how I wanted Ramsay to die. Sansa feeds him to his own hounds. He has been starving them for a week, and they are hungry, and they rip into him. It's great. It's great. Oh, it's great. I just want to watch that scene on loop. It gave me so much pleasure. I was cheering. So much happiness at that point. It was great. And it's the best part about this entire thing, though, I think, was when Sansa turns around and walks off and smirks. This is not the Sansa we met in season 1. She has changed so much, and she is now a force to be reckoned with. It's incredible. She has become an entirely different person, and I actually respect her a lot more as a person now. Now, one thing I definitely feel I need to point out, because it was kind of a really important scene, when Davos is walking around the night before the big battle, he finds one of Shireen's toys. It's burnt up, and he doesn't know exactly what to make of it at first, and after a few moments, he starts to think, and he starts to look pissed. And at the end of the episode, we see him making a look at Melisandre. He's figured it out. He started to put the pieces together, and he now knows that she is somehow responsible for Shireen's death. And he's out for blood. He's out for blood. Oh, it's great. Another thing that I feel was really important in this entire episode was the moment when Jon visits Melisandre's tent and tells her not to bring him back if he dies in the battle, and she refuses him. There was a moment in the battle, I think he believed he was going to die, and he was remembering the blackness, the dark place he was at when he was dead, when he was getting, when he was getting buried alive, that moment when he was getting buried alive by a bunch of the bodies. I think he was remembering being dead and just the darkness, and he fought his way back to freedom. And I think at that moment, he would have been willing to come back to life and agree to all of that Melisandre said she would do anyway. Yeah, I think Jon now wants to fight, like really live. I think he really wants to live now. He might tell her now that she can bring him back. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But at that moment, I think he had a change of heart. I really feel he did. This episode is by far my favorite episode so far this season, and this battle, is definitely now one of my favorite TV battles. It was such a great thing to watch. And we didn't get just the Battle of the Bastards, we got the whole battle between Daenerys and her armies and the Masters. It was just action-packed and just everything. It was everything. It was so great. I don't have any complaints about this episode. I'm of course sad about the certain deaths that happened. Rest in peace, Rickon. Rest in peace, 1-1. You will both be dearly missed. If you enjoyed this, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.